Korea has been broadening its diplomatic outreach while placing renewed emphasis on multilateral cooperation. And at this year's Jeju Forum, Arirang spoke exclusively with candidates seeking to lead the UN, as well as senior European diplomats, to hear how they see the international order evolving and where Korea fits into it. Our foreign affairs correspondent Oh Soo-young, who led our coverage, joins us in the studio today. Welcome, Soo-young.
Hi, Tami.
So, Soo-young, you interviewed several candidates looking to become the next UN Secretary General. What stood out?
Well, what struck me most about this entire coverage was how the candidates really, each and every one of them, really cut to the central theme of this year's Jeju Forum, which was all about reinventing cooperation. And they're very much candid in acknowledging that today's multilateral system is under strain.
The first is for the UN to be back at the table. Because when you go around, and I have been traveling a lot and talking to a lot of people, what you find is that people ask you, where is the UN?
As Secretary General, one of the first missions will be to implement this reform on two levels. First, at the level of the Secretariat and of the United Nations itself. How can we optimize its functioning? How can we also rationalize its resources and its missions? The second level is with the member states.
Taken together, the debate is no longer just whether the UN should change, but how it can remain effective.
Then, Soo-young, how does that tie into Korea's own diplomacy?
Well, I would say that it really ties in through Korea's own trajectory demonstrated over the years, according to the former Senegalese president that we just heard from. He pointed to Korea's development experience, industrial capacity and ability to work with both advanced economies and the global south as well.
Korea showed that underdevelopment is not inevitable. It went from receiving aid to becoming a donor country, a member of the OECD and the G20. The Korean example can inspire the world, particularly African countries. As president of Senegal, I worked extensively with Korea on economic cooperation, in the maritime sector, in the military and security fields, in agriculture, rice production, and in healthcare.
And at this point in time, the Lee Jae-myung administration has been broadening its scope of partners beyond traditional relationships focused on the Korean Peninsula and tackling the North Korean nuclear issue. It has also been keen to act as a G7+ country in promoting multilateral cooperation as a responsible stakeholder in global governance. Now, that, I think, was pretty much reflected in my interview with the Czech ambassador to Korea.
What is important, is having, a cooperation of the countries, which are aiming at preserving peace and stability, international order, and, following the international law. And I think, in those areas, Korean Republic, the Czechia, and, the European Union are great examples of those values, which we are sharing.
Now, Soo-young, before I let you go, any noteworthy ideas from your interviewees in Jeju?
Well, I'd say that there are plenty to draw from. I mean, many of my interviews highlighted opportunities to move from verbal diplomatic alignment to real, actual practical cooperation. France's Indo-Pacific ambassador, for instance, pointed to defense, interoperability, intelligence sharing and industrial technology.
You will see again in September when the Korean president is coming to a state visit to Paris, that we work on very concrete things like interoperability, intelligence sharing. We talk about also, we are two countries that are very much involved into industrial and technological base, so we also share that ambition to be very, very good partners and more integrated partners.
The Czech ambassador also pointed to important areas where Korea and Europe can do more together.
So actually, we are not having only the bilateral track, cooperation between ourselves, but we as well having multilateral track within the European Union, and that means, that if the relations goes well between Korea and the European Union, they go as well very good, for Czechia. But we can do some added value to that, and it means, you can have some niches on the market, which actually we can have a more cooperation, which will be interesting for both sides, mentioning nuclear energy, automotive industry, I would say science and research development, this is, the areas, where we can cooperate,
All of this is, of course, just a small snapshot of the ideas shared at this year's edition of Jeju Forum, which brought together over 6,000 participants in just 3 days.
Indeed. Soo-young, thank you for your coverage and for your wrap-up tonight.
Great to be here, Tami.